Hello there, everybody. Welcome again to another Monday night. I'm just realizing I forgot to mute my sound, so give me 1 second here. See if I can come up with that. There we go. Now you won't hear any little ditties that pop up on my phone. Alrighty. So as I was saying, welcome again to another Monday night of Make It With Me Monday. Of course, that's in the name there. I hope you all had a really great weekend. We had some beautiful weather here in Wisconsin, and we were up at our lake home again, which is really lovely to be out on the water. Hi, Jesse. Good to see that you're here. Out to dream on the water and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to give a few minutes here to let other people pop in. In the meantime, I wanted to point out that once you're done watching this video, if you scroll up on the page a little bit, if you haven't already seen it, I've posted a poll, basically. I'm going to have you guys pick out color combination and stamp set and things like that for a project I'm making. So the first thing is to choose the color combination, and it's either Mango Melody, Calypso Coral, and Melon Mambo, or Mango Melody, Bermuda Bay, and Pool Party. So either something with a blue tone or something in like a pinky orange and yellow. Hi Kathy, good to see you again tonight. So that post should be a couple posts up from or down from, whichever way you're scrolling, where this video will end up posting. So make a little note there to pop on and give me a comment on which one you're voting for. And then tomorrow I will post a couple of stamp sets to choose from, and we'll probably pick out maybe some accessories and stuff later. And then you will all get to see the finished card once all the voting parts have been completed. So like I said, pop up there and throw your vote on which color combination you think you'd like to see me play with. So yeah, I had made a note last week about it being Mango Day, and we have this lovely color called Mango Melody, and I could barely find one sample that had some good showing of mango. So it's apparently not a color I use very often. So I looked up color combinations of mango and picked out a couple, and my mango based card is going to be coming together. So I'm glad you guys are going to be able to help me out with that. All right. Let's review what you should have on hand. You need a piece of neutral cardstock as your card base, 5.5 by 8.5, and score that at 4.25. I'm going to be using our thick white cardstock tonight. Then you also need to have another neutral piece that's 2 by 4, so I have that in our basic white as well. You should have 2 pieces of DSP that are 1 by 4, and I believe I noted those are going to be used vertically. Okay, and then another set that are 1 by 3, and those are, horizontally. Those are going to get used vertically. And then you should have 1 piece of cardstock that coordinates, that is a 2 1/8 by 4 1/8. So depending on what DSP you picked out, this could be something that's in there or something that coordinates with it, however you want to go with that. Then you need stamps and inks to fill up your neutral piece that's 2 by 4. You guys like the melon and the coral, huh? All right. That seems to be getting a few more votes now, so that's good. I tend to gravitate toward those blue colors, so I had someone say that too. It's like, we see a lot of blue, let's go with that other set. So good to know that you guys are on board with that as well. Okay, so grab your neutral piece that's 2 by 4 and your stamp set and inks that you're going to use to fill that up. I'm going to be using the In Bloom stamp set. You can see it's on page, let me find my notes here. It's on page 30. Lots of florals of different shapes. These are all solid images. And then leaf shapes and stems and a couple of really cute verses. And what's kind of nice is that there's this also beautiful pierced blooms die set that goes with it. Look at all of those flowers. Holy cow. And it cuts the edging, and then it puts this really pretty little stitched print into everything that you cut out from there. I mean, look at all that. That is so super cool. And I believe, I didn't do the matchups, but some may cut out the piece. I have to double check and see if any of those actually fit the dies or if the dies are completely separate. But what I do love about this is that they put some of the small pieces in multiples. So they're 2s, they're 3s, and you can get several out at a time. These leaves are, doubled up, that kind of thing. These leaves are doubled up. These leaves are doubled up, which helps so much when you're sending them through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss is because then you get, you know, it's like making multiple passes in one swoop, because then you're getting a bunch out at the same time. So I haven't had a chance to use these yet, but I've seen such beautiful samples. I finally invested in the stitched, the dies here are so cool. Okay, so again, In Bloom on page 30, Pierce Bloom's dies are on page 165. All right, so I am gonna start with my verse first. I'm gonna go from the center and build out. You guys do whatever you're working with, but I'll show you how mine's gonna go here. So I'm gonna take my Happy Birthday, You Really Are the Best, right in the middle of that square. Well, I guess it's a rectangle. And then I am going to use 3 of the flowers, and my color combination is gonna be Coastal Cabana, Daffodil Delight, and Flirty Flamingo. I had a color challenge placed on me this week, and that is the color palette that was offered. So I'm going to use it here, and then I automatically have a card to enter in the challenge. So I'm pretty excited about that. All right, I'm going to start with my biggest flower in the Coastal Cabana. And I'm going to put... Now when you're working with these kind of images, if you go off the edge of the paper, it actually ends up making it look more finished than if you don't. So don't worry if the whole image doesn't fit on. Go with that, because it, like I said, it does actually make the whole piece itself look more finished when you're all done, as opposed to leaving a border around because you've tried to fill in spaces. Okay, so there's my Coastal Cabana flowers. And now I'm gonna put in my Flirty Flamingo flowers. And as per usual, make sure you share with me what you've done after the videos are posted and everything, so that we can see your lovely creations. Okay, that didn't work. I'm gonna go back over. That's one of the beauties of the photopolymer stamp set, is you can kind of see where it was if you're not using your Stamparatus, and pretty much get right back in there. Give that a second to set. There we go. All right, there's my Flirty Flamingo flowers. And I'm gonna fill in the rest with little tiny Daffodil Delight ones. And again, some of them will be full force where you can see them, and some will be stamped off a little bit, off the papers I should say, so that they fill in some of that white space that hides up there. All right, so again, make sure you're sharing on the page, or send me a text with a picture or whatever of what you guys have done with yours, because I'm always excited to see what colors you pick, what stamp sets are you're playing with this time around, and all that kind of great stuff. Okay, give me a little thumbs up if you are that far that you have your neutral piece all filled in. Especially if you're not stamping along with me, then you know you're you're good to go to the next step, which is gonna be okay. Then we're gonna mount our piece on your 2 1/8 by 4 1/8 piece of cardstock. All right, so adhesive on the back of that, and onto that layer. Okay, so there you go. All right, that you can set aside. Now we're gonna move on to our card base. So go ahead and take that. It should be scored at 4 1/4. Give it a nice crease. Now what I want you to do first is I want you to lay the pieces down before we put any adhesive on them, so that you're sure you've got the right framing for it. I've pulled this up several times because I didn't quite get the border right. So just a fair warning beforehand. So your 2 1x4s are in general gonna go like this. What we're kind of doing is we're building a frame, and your 1x3s will go there, so you can see that needs to come down a little bit. So there should be just a tiny space in between these layers. There'll be a little bit more border here, but more of a tiny space in between the pieces themselves. And once you have that laid out where you have all your borders looking about how you like them, then go ahead and start taping them down. So I'm just taking off one at a time. And then when I go back up here, now mine might end up a little bit crooked because I'm not way hunched over my piece like I usually like to be, but I don't want to stick my head in the camera. So like I said, just make sure that yours are lined up. I should point out I'm using a piece from Hand Pen, which has that really pretty flowers on the backside, and solid, some that solid color with some print. So this is a Daffodil Delight piece. And this flamingo, Flirty Flamingo actually comes from the color pack for the Brights collection. All right, so there's that one. And that has double-sided patterns as well, so there's the other side of that particular one. Okay. All right, I'm gonna rotate this because I can see better this way. So again, basically just watch your borders, make sure they're kind of lining up. And another piece here will end the 1x3. And there you go. So like I said, we're kind of creating a frame. Then set that aside, make sure you've got your card facing the right direction. Don't ask me why I gave you that symbol. It's because I put it on upside down once when I was making a sample. So yeah. Now I'm gonna pop mine up on dimensionals because I'm sure, as you know, if you've watched me long enough, you know I do like a little bit of depth and dimension on my projects. So I'm gonna go with dimensionals in the corners, and because this is a little bit larger piece, I'm also gonna go a little bit in the middle so it doesn't get saggy down there. Okay, so once you've got that ready to go, you kind of have a little bit of a choice of what to do with it. Whoops, once you see all my samples, you see which way I like to do it. But you're gonna cover most of or all of that white space we just created in the middle of your card front. So you can go straight across and fill it in completely, or you can go a little bit on an angle and have a little bit of the white space showing. Since most of my samples look like this, I'm gonna go ahead and show you this way, like so. And there you go. So this is another one of those great ones that will help you use up some scraps you may have, because they're just a 1-inch width. And especially with the DSP, 1 inches and then 4 inches and 3 inches, perfect ways to cut up your 3-inch, or your 6x6s or your 12x12s. So, all right, so there you go. That is the basic pattern here. So again, create your little border, fill in the white space. Now you can play with the widths and sizes of all of this to fit whatever you need. So if you want to do you want to have a little more space between layers, make them a little smaller. You can obviously make this piece a little smaller, depending on what you like. Oh, I'm so glad you like it, Jessie. It's a fun, like I said, I like to show you guys these ways lately of ways to use up your scraps. I don't know if you've been following that along lately. It's definitely where I'm going with some of this. All right, so now on to bonus samples. Here's one I did where I used the rainbow glimmer paper. So I took a 1-inch strip of the, actually ended up with two strips that were 1 inch, and cut off the 3s and the 4s that I needed. And the glimmer paper itself runs from the yellow through the reds, through the blues and purples, and then the greens and blues. So all of those pretty colors are all in one stripe of the paper if you take it the long way. And then I pulled some of the colors out from there. So this was the mango, and then grape, and magenta, and granny apple green. Okay, let me bring it up a little bit. So that glimmer paper is really fun to play with. You've got some really pretty sparkle happening there. Okay, and then I wanted to point out that, you know, often when I say grab a neutral piece of cardstock, I'm usually saying vanilla or white. So, you know, you get your white, you get your ivory. You can also think about using, mostly what I would grab for would be my crumb cake. So like a very basic light colored tan can also very much act as a neutral. So that's what I used here. This is crumb cake base, crumb cake there as well. I used the suede and the espresso patterns from the DSP pack to kind of play along with that. Each of those lighter stripes in there matches well with the crumb cake, but gives you a little bit different coloring showing up. And then I die cut the word cookies out of espresso, and I die cut the cookie to pop that up there, but then also stamped some cookies on there as well. So today is a cookies kind of day. So like I said, you think about other colors that you can use, like a neutral, where it's just everything is, because it's not quite monochromatic, but it's similar into, like if you went with some other colors around, your tan crumb cake color can definitely fill in as a neutral, along with whites and vanillas. All right, and then I'm gonna go back to this sample and I'll show you my stepped up version. Okay, so I used the same DSPs down here, but instead of stamping the flowers, I used the dies and cut them out. So I die cut ones with Cabana and Flirty Flamingo and Daffodil Delight. And then I took a piece of black, that's 4 by 5 1/4, and I layered my papers onto there. I did cut the daffodil down a little bit. I think those are only 2 3/4 long in order to make that fit where I got all the borders the way I wanted them. Otherwise it would have been a little too long. But I like those extra pops of black in there. It just really makes them stand up, stand up nicely. against each other. So I still used the cabana layer, but I added a black layer behind it. And then again, this piece all the way around is just a 4 by 5.25 that I then layered the DSP and things onto. So you can see the difference there. So like I said, you could do the horizontal covering of the middle, and then you can do these more angled, you know, as you can tell, I kind of went a little more angled on some of those samples as well. So there you go. Again, another one where you can use your scraps really easily. These come together pretty fast. Like I said, you're just grabbing a few pieces of paper and stamping one element and you're pretty much done. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed that layout today, and I really look forward to seeing your samples when you are done with them. Quick reminder too that the DSP sale ends on August 2nd, so we're getting close to the end of that. If you haven't scoped that out and gotten some of your favorites, make sure you grab those ones that are on sale. They're 15% off. There's a handful of them not included in the sale, but if you check out my website or my Facebook page and my website, you should be able to see the listings for that. Go back through some old posts and you'll find them there. You're welcome, Kathy. I'm so glad you got to join me tonight. Okay, excuse me, I thought I was gonna sneeze there for a second. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your Monday, and I will see you again next week. Thanks so much. Bye.